gone quiet, so I guess it's time to start. Hey, my name's Chris Edkins, a member of the worship committee. Welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a church where who you are and the values that you embody in your everyday life are more important than the specifics of what you believe. We gather together to support each other and to support the wider community and to engage in the important activities of thinking about the ultimate questions of life, how we relate to each other, and what our purpose is in being here on this planet. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, then you're in the right place. If you're with us here in person today, we welcome you. But also, if you are joining us on YouTube today, either during the live stream or sometime at a later date, you are equally a member of this community, and we also welcome you. So, Reverend Carol has some announcements for us.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's good to see you all here today. I'm Reverend Carol Bodeau. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am privileged to serve here as minister. A few things that I want to call your attention to. Next week will be Earth Church. Just a reminder, if you're interested in our earth-based practices, which is essentially we gather and we spend 10 or 15 minutes just reflecting about the season or what's happening in the natural world, and then we spend 20 minutes outside if you're brave right now, or just looking out a window, or looking at a flower or a plant inside. But we spend 20 minutes, just each of us going our own direction, sitting with the natural world, and then we come back and we share a little bit. So that happens at 2 o'clock on the last Sunday of the month. That is next week. Also, an upcoming event I want you to know about so you can save the date. On August 9th, that's in a few weeks, a Sunday a few weeks from now, our UU cluster in the Knoxville area is going to be having a picnic all together. We've done this in the past. On August 9th, at the Cove here in Farragut, we're having a picnic with the Foothills UU Church from Maryville, Tennessee Valley from downtown, and the Oak Ridge UU Church. And that's an opportunity to hang out with other UUs. It's a little bit of a potluck. We'll have some games. There's a swimming beach there if you want to go swimming. So from 4 to 8 on Sunday, August 9th. And in the next week, we will be starting to put out registrations, both online and paper registrations, for our fall retreats. So there are 2 retreats in the fall. In September, I believe it's the 3rd weekend in September, right around the fall equinox, we have our Spirit Quest retreat, which is, you can camp. There are camping spots. It's held in Elkmont. So there are some camping spots, but you can also, if you choose to, I know some people stay in cabins in Townsend, but all the activities are held in the group camp area at Elkmont. And then in October, or in early October, we will have our all-church retreat at Rock Island State Park. We reserve cabins there that we share. I think we've got 5 cabins, which totals 15 rooms, I believe, for this year's retreat. And we gather there from a Friday through a Sunday, and we go on hikes and play games and have meals together and things like that. So if you're interested in those things, the registrations will be coming out for those in the next few days. Okay, that's it.
Well, it's time to invite our singing bowl to sing. So if you just want to settle into your seats and compose your minds and listen to this sound. The flaming chalice is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, and Reverend Carol's going to light the chalice for us, and we have chalice lighting words for today. They are from the UU Worship Web by Eric Walker Wigstrom. Why We're Here. here today, in this place, with these people, may we listen so that we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we can know. And may we know so that we can change ourselves and this world. May this chalice we light our way. And the other tradition that we have at the moment at Westside is we light community candles for the good things that are going on in the world, and maybe the things that are not going so well at the moment. So I think for our things that are not going so well today, I'd like to remember the earthquake that happened in Venezuela this month. Obviously still an ongoing humanitarian disaster. 5,000 people have been confirmed dead in the earthquake, and I'm sure a lot more people injured or displaced. So if you can keep those people in your thoughts. And good news, community-led rewilding projects and global conservation efforts are showing massive success this summer. Specifically, major international pledges of over $6.4 billion were secured at the recent Our Ocean Conference to protect marine ecosystems globally, while rewilding initiatives in areas like Rio de Janeiro continue to restore vital natural habitats.
So whether we're looking at the things that are happening that we think of as good or positive, or the things that we look at and think of as not so great, maybe really awful, one thing is for certain: we live in a world where change is the order of the day. So we're going to actually hear a recording of a song that we're going to sing along with. So I'm going to invite the choir. If the choir would just position yourselves around the edges of the congregation. The choir has been practicing this song, so we're going to sing along. But you're going to see in the performance we're going to play of this song that this song demonstrates the complexity of change. The words are: change is coming, what do we need to imagine? To be prepared, I know I'm scared, but I know from brokenness there's whole. Those three lines are sung separately. So we're going to listen to, this is a song that was written by Molly Bajgot, and it's performed by some UU musicians led by Reverend Glenn Thomas Rideout, who you'll see singing first in the video. So feel free to join in as you get the feel for it. It's a chant that has multiple layers, and the words will be on the screen. is what the world feels like right now. There's all these different things happening and all these different voices and all this movement, and it can be hard to track a little bit. And yet, it is possible for us to find some harmony, some synchrony, some way to weave things together. Really, the challenge of any community in a time like this is to figure out how to weave together all the voices, all the different threads, in a way that helps us bring wholeness. So there's 3 lines there. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? To be prepared, because I know I'm scared. And yet I know from brokenness there can be wholeness. So this is the main challenge of our religious community, right? To figure out how to take the fragments of a broken world, the challenges we face, combined with the beauty, and make something meaningful and that sustains us. So that's really our challenge. So here's what I've been thinking about a little bit in the last week as a metaphor that's helpful to me. Anybody else here like to watch storm chaser document shows? Anybody else like the storm chasers? Okay, why do we like storm chasers? So if you're not familiar with these are the shows where we get to see footage of tornadoes or hurricanes up close and personal, filmed by people who devote their lives to getting as close as possible to the center of these massive and destructive but amazing forces of nature. Now, I admit that I find these kinds of shows mesmerizing. I am awed by the beauty and the majesty and the power of the inside of a tornado, right? It's amazing, the intensity and the symmetry and there's something so incredibly beautiful about it. And of course, it's also horrifying, right? The destructive and terrible power. And I'm drawn to understand, like, how does this work? What's going on inside this incredible force of change, right? It's an incredible force of change that we can't control. We can observe it, we can learn, right? And one of the things that storm chasers do is they actually really help us learn what happens inside these massive storms. They help us understand what's going on. And they also do a pretty good job of being right there at the scene to be first responders a lot of times. Now, every time I watch one of these shows and the people who make them, I say pretty much the same sentence every time. What are they thinking? Right? Those people are crazy. I cannot imagine actively choosing to drive my car loaded down with all kinds of tech gear and cameras and weather monitoring equipment. And some of them look more like armored vehicles than cars, it's true, but a lot of them are just like people in their old beater car, which has been through tornadoes, and so the windshield's beat up and they don't have windows and they're sticking their heads out the window and stuff like that. They drive directly into the path of the storm. And then they get out of the vehicle, which seems like sheer madness, and yet I am mesmerized by it. So I wonder about that. It feels like a juicy metaphor, right? It feels familiar to me in a certain way, because I will admit that although I don't want to do that with weather intensity, I am a little bit of an addict for emotional and spiritual and relational intensity. Many people who know me will tell you that I will drive into the center of the storm where other people won't go. It's part of the job, right? People who do that emotionally or spiritually or relationally end up in jobs like this. Some people end up in the eye of the storm in the medical profession. They're first responders. right? So I wonder about us as beings. I think that the increasing appeal of these storm chaser shows speaks to something we might consider relative to ourselves right now, because I think tornado or hurricane is a good metaphor for our world right now. Sociopolitically, there's a lot going on out there, right? What is your relationship to powerful forces of change and challenge which can be destructive? What's your instinctive response in the face of those sorts of things? Are you one of the people who want to get right up in there in the middle of it and really engage with the intensity? Or are you like me with the way I respond to weather? I want to observe and learn about it, but from a distance. I want to know what's going on, but I want to observe it from a distance. Or maybe that's more than you might be able to manage right now. Maybe right now you're in a place of needing to watch the Hallmark Channel and not storm chasers. And I will tell you that I have days where storm chasers will come on and I'm in one of those places where I'm going to watch some television, I'm flicking through the channels and storm chasers is on and I just can't. Like my nervous system is overloaded already. I need something else. Great British Bake Off, maybe. Right? Or on a really, really bad day, the kids' baking show. Right? That can be kind of brutal too when they start kicking kids off the show. So just be warned. Okay, so this is all metaphorical, but our socio-political world is one big tornado or hurricane. Pick your metaphor right now, right? It is intense and chaotic and predominantly characterized by conflict and change. And we're all being inundated with that every single day. And we have to come up with some strategies, both individually for ourselves and collectively as communities, to figure out how we're going to respond to change. So on any given day, the first question I try to ask myself is this: am I able to respond today, or am I being reactive? Now, I will tell you that this is a distinction that we have an often hard time feeling the difference between in our bodies. But my personal belief, and there's some research to suggest this might be accurate, is that a lot of what's happening is a function of people reacting rather than responding. There's a whole lot of reactivity out there, and reactivity causes more reactivity, causes more reactivity. It's a chain reaction, right? So what's a reaction? Well, our reactions tend to be instinctive. Now, here's the catch. Particularly Unitarian Universalists, but most people have developed a really good way of telling themselves the story that their reactions are highly logical. Can you relate to that? Anybody relate to that? You got your reactions. They're what you do, right? We have had previous experiences. We've had social training. Our nervous systems, our actual nervous systems, have developed patterns that help us shortcut in the moment decision making, right? We've sort of developed patterns of how to act quickly in response to particularly challenging situations. You know, one of the most common ways we talk about that is fight, flight, fawn, freeze. And the newest one is flop. I don't know if you've heard that. Think about the dog that flips over on its back when the bigger dog is threatening it. Right? So what are these? What are these basic reactions? Fight. Taking on the challenge, getting out there, standing up for yourself. You're putting energy forward and you're gonna go fight. Even if that's just with your words, even if that's just internally, it's often associated with anger and righteous indignation, okay? And we will will then absolutely tell the narrative that it's logical to have that response, but we have to acknowledge that it is, in fact, part of our nervous system reaction. How about flight? Get the heck out of this situation. Watch a movie, head on vacation, turn off media, watch cute cat videos, right? Now, all of these have their place. I am not saying that any of these are wrong or bad. They all have their time and place. Okay, how about this? Maybe you're a person whose primary instinct is to freeze, stare into space, dissociate, find it hard to get anything done, wondering where that last hour and a half went. Or another version of it, ruminating for long periods of time. The endless spinning, the little circle in your head going around and around and around and around and around and around, right? That can be a freeze response. And fawning. Many of us are really good at this one. Trying to make it better, fix it, please the person who's upset, understand them better. Often fawning happens when we don't know how to set boundaries. We're working super extra hard to be compassionate in ways that are actually more costly than beneficial, right? Trying to please the bully in order to stay safe. And the last one that we're starting to talk about now is flop, total surrender, giving in to the bully, just saying, yep, they're right. They're right. I'm just going to go with them. So we all have ways in which we adopt each of these strategies in particular moments, right? And we've been conditioned to do that, and they all have their place. They all evolved for a reason. But they are what we could call reactive. They're instinctive. So responding is different than that. When we're faced with difficult challenges, often these challenges might include changing our most basic understanding of our own identity and security and how the world actually works. Now think about that for a minute. How is our current situation causing you to confront your own basic sense of security and identity in this world, and your own basic sense of how reality and the world function? I don't know if that's true for any of you, but I can certainly say for me, I'm asking some questions I never thought I would have to ask, right? Being reactive is normal in those kinds of deeply challenging situations. It is normal to respond with short-term survival responses, right? Reactions. They're quick. They help us get out of that short-term emergency. But being responsive is a much more long-term strategy. Okay? So what does it mean to be responsive in the face of great change and challenge? So being responsive means, at least in one way, being able to hold still while you're feeling reactive and making conscious, careful, long-term decisions rather than instinctively following your reactive impulse. So, I'm literally going to ask for a show of hands for this. How many of us find it really, really, really hard to just sit still and breathe through the gotta do it, gotta fight, gotta. That is challenging. We do our spiritual practices to try to help us become better able to make conscious choices about how we are going to respond. And a lot of it is being able to say, okay, my whole system is telling me to react right now. And sometimes to react is the best choice. But to be responsive is to have conscious choice about if. And actually, it would be awesome if someone, maybe Morgan, would you be willing to take notes? Thank you. Yeah, I see you already have the notebook out. Morgan will always take notes. And anybody who's with us online, Curtis, Curtis is online. Curtis will gladly share anything that anyone online wants to add. So this is a question to you. If we're going to cultivate resiliency and responsiveness to great change and challenge, what kinds of qualities do you think we as a community need to develop?
I think one of the most important things is awareness of what's going on between you and your friends and neighbors and even strangers.
So awareness within your own personal community. Yeah, yeah.
I think getting clarity. So when someone says or does something and you have a reaction, maybe you take a quick breath and you ask a question. Ask a question of clarity to help make sure you understood what the person meant, and it gives them a chance they're taking a breath while you're asking them that, and they are thinking, oh, he's questioning how I said that, or he's questioning how, and maybe they restate something in a more reasonable way as well.
Got it. So clarifying, being willing to ask questions that go deeper.
Nonviolent communication, and we already have a class for that.
Yeah. So good communication strategies. Yeah. Yeah. Bridget?
Love, possibly unconditional love, but then that's bad sometimes if somebody's a bad person. So
there's been a lot of racism politically put in our face constantly. Oh, I'm not going to do it again. When I think about resiliency, I think of myself as like, yeah, I've heard it before, I'm used to it, but I was thinking about, what if I tell the church folk about some racism that's really hurting us? There's very few of us. I keep pointing over in this direction. There's very few Asians here, if you haven't noticed. But I thought, it would be kind of cool if I said something to the church, letting them know that some of these political ads that are going on right now are directly about Asians. Y'all are all nodding your heads. And just to let you know that when we see that, stop it. When we see that, y'all know I cry for no reason. It's very hurtful. And I thought, man, if the community here can support us and let us know that you're on our side and that you see that too, that would be cool. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you. So the general quality I hear there is courage. There's two qualities right there. There's courage to speak. Courage to speak when you are actually feeling vulnerable, right? Courage to ask for help. Courage to ask for support. Because it's a reactive defense to do that, to retreat rather than to step forward, so courage. And also for the rest of us to be able to listen to voices that are maybe not the voices we usually get to hear from. Sandra.
It's ironic that I've been waiting so long to be recognized, because the quality I was going to mention is patience. And I was going to mention that because I'm not patient enough.
And I think, Fran, did you have something? Yeah, Fran had something. And Curtis, if anybody online has anything, while Chris is back there with the microphone.
Who am I going to?
Go to Fran first.
I think people have said this in a lot of different ways already, but for me, what I have to remember is that all responses are needed for the greater good, and in the face of storms, and that every response is key to creating balance, every single one of them, and that problems come when one group stops recognizing the value of other groups. It's important to keep everyone in this circle to survive storms and thrive. And so for me, that's what I have to keep telling myself when I see those commercials and, see the things that are so hard to hear sometimes. So.
So true inclusivity, like really making space, and Curtis had some from online people. Nope, nothing, okay. Like really allowing, so this is part of what we are really practicing in our nonviolent or compassionate communication group. This isn't just like a thing you learn. This is a culture-changing way of engaging with difference. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in that at all, we've had some, I will say, really juicy conversations already, just in the few weeks we've been doing it, where it's possible for someone to say, hey, when I think about this topic, here's how I feel, here's what's important to me, here's what I'm hoping for, but without any of the name calling. So some of the other qualities I would add to that list are curiosity, which is a little bit what Stephen was saying. Curiosity, being like clarity comes from some curiosity, right? And how about hope? How do we feel about hope? Cultivating hope over despair, right? And some persistence. And how about sustainability? Practices that help us be sustainable. So these are the kinds of things we're going to be thinking about over the next year, and hopefully equipping ourselves for whatever is in the future. If we are honest, we will admit that the changes that are happening right now are frightening. And it can be easy and essential to avoid that a little bit. Like you can't stay there all the time, but they're frightening. And so we have to find the internal resilience and the communal support to be brave and courageous in a loving way. What do we want to imagine? What is possible? What can we focus on to move towards? We've talked about this many times. Fear is a wonderful short-term fuel, but it is not a good long-term fuel. Fear can make us act quickly and reactively, and that can save us. But the only fuel that's really going to keep us going for the long term is to know what we love, what we're willing to stay in for the long term, and to be courageous. I think it might be possible to think about our current times as a catalyst for something better. And it can be difficult to do. I have a hard time with it many days. But it seems to me that the greatest ability an individual or a community or even a species can have is adaptability. And that to me means being able to see a way not to go back to what was, but to go forward, to make of whatever new circumstances we find ourselves in, to make something better, to use the materials at hand to build something with greater possibility. The current situation can be pretty horrifying. I listened to the news on the way to church this morning, and it was not encouraging. But yet, Justice and Generosity partners, that for 3 months out of each year, we kind of learn about those partners and we talk about them a little bit, and we actually make financial contributions to those. So our current partner is Keep the Tennessee River Beautiful, and this is an environmental organization. Our summer partner is always our environmental focus, and they work on helping the Tennessee River be cleaned up, taking pollutants out of it. I think they reached last year their 1 millionth tire that they took out of the Tennessee River, right? So we already have a designated amount of money that the board has already committed from our budget that we are sending to them. But when you make contributions to Westside right now, you can contribute to our general fund, which supports the functioning of the institution. But you can also contribute directly to our fund that we are gathering to add to our designated amount for Keep the Tennessee River Beautiful. And in I think in about 6 weeks, we're going to have a service specifically devoted to their work and what they do. There are lots of other things going on, right? There are always opportunities to build justice in our community and to do good work. So please keep your eyes open for that, but know that the most important justice work you do is probably in your own home and with your own friendships and in your own neighborhood and in your own relationships, because one person acting in a place of calm, centered, loving responsiveness has a massive impact. We often minimize the impact that can have. One person speaking calmly and lovingly and not reactively about their LGBTQ plus beloved friends and family makes a whole lot of difference. One person calmly inviting others to participate with them in an environmental action or to learn about some topic that maybe we didn't know about, that makes an impact. So let's be the change we wish to see in the world. Now, one of the ways we cultivate sustainability and health here in our communities and in our own hearts is by sharing with each other, right? Courageously sharing our vulnerabilities and also sharing the joys and the things we're celebrating. So we're going to
We are celebrating 39 years of being best friends and married.
And if you're with us virtually, feel free to share in the chat, and Curtis will let us know what that is.
Thank you, Chris. I hate to bring religion and politics together, but I really am concerned for our current election season, and I hope that everyone has a chance to get out to early vote, and I hope that no one feels unsafe when they're going to the voting booth. And I wanted to offer up, if anyone needs a ride or if anyone knows anyone that needs a ride, I'm happy to take up that. But I pray for our politicians and that hopefully a spark of light will come through.
Hello, I'm Jackson. Won't get into specifics, but general concern is I have been in very poor mental health lately. And Joyce, my friend Sydney and I are going out of town next week to visit a friend from college. And I'm very excited to see them.
Hi, I'm Virginia. I have a joy. My wife did a heart cath yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and it came back good. So, she has a strong heart, so now we can chase her around the building and she can't say it's her heart. So, that's my joy.
That was that Alice's heart cath came back good. Yay!
Hey, I'm Jessie, and I know this was a couple months ago, but I have 2 kids now that graduated from high school, so I'm just still very excited about that.
Any last takers? Oh.
Just 2 things I'll just say. First of all, I am concerned about the unhoused in our community, especially in the heat. So I know there's several different organizations out there that are taking bottled water, things like that. But then second of all, my husband's uncle is not well, and we're thinking it may be about his time to pass, and it's been especially hard for my husband. This is the last kind of a connection he has to his father, is his uncle, and so it's been a hard time for the family. So keep us in our thoughts. Your thoughts. I keep myself in my thoughts too.
And Ash has one. Here we go.
Okay.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Ash, they, them. First of all, I'm rather concerned about the cyclospora outbreak. Please stay hydrated. Electrolytes and all. And my joy is that I managed to pass a very difficult class for me, which was biostatistics. I got a C, which means I passed.
You passed, yay, yay. Congratulations.
We can just put that away.
So, and I will add that I would love your good thoughts for my husband Tracy, whose mom died a couple weeks ago. And it's just rough. So good thoughts for Tracy would be appreciated. So let's just take a couple minutes and breathe. I invite you to boldly sing with me a song. We're just going to sing it through a few times. You're going to recognize it. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. So you always have your breath. Every moment of every day, no matter what is happening in your world or in your home or in your life, you always have the breath. Let us go into this day and this week and this world that needs us, breathing in the peace of knowing that there is hope and we do have community, and therefore able to breathe out love. May it be so. Go in peace and go in passion.